we got 4 council persons here. We got a quorum.
Let's go.
Madam.
Are you getting any better?
No. Well, yes, I started physical therapy, but it hurt.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll call the meeting back to order again. Council, we're going to skip to the consent agenda just briefly here. Take a look at the consent agenda. We have 4 items on there. Is there anything on there that you would like to pull?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve the
Second.
consent agenda, and there's a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mayor Nelson.
Aye.
Councilman Simmons. Aye. Councilwoman Simons.
There's 4 items, 1, 2, 3, 4. Aye.
Councilman Longcart.
Aye.
Councilman McIntosh.
Aye.
Councilwoman Martin.
Aye.
Councilman Slechta.
Aye.
Okay, and now, Arlene, we have a presentation by staff of design standards for the US 41 corridor. Thank you.
Good morning. Arlene Hunter, Director of Development Services. As a part of the city's strategic plan, Council adopted strategies to enhance the aesthetics of the city, including a review of our architectural standards and landscaping
that's
standards
right.
throughout the city. To this effort, Council has already previously adopted a vision for our Old 41 corridor, and you've also adopted specific economic development incentives that target the aesthetics in our downtown. We'd like to continue these efforts and provide you an opportunity to review the enhanced aesthetics, for enhanced aesthetics along our new 41 corridor, as well as other specific commercial type buildings around the city, including big boxes. Today's presentation will include a brief historical background of architectural designs and review of existing standards by our Planning and Zoning Manager, Jacqueline Jensen. We'll also be reviewing examples of creativity through design and reoccurring architectural themes and styles by our architect, Sam Vinson. And we'll have opportunities to address design standards through revisions to the Land Development Code by our consulting planner, Alexis Crespo. I will then provide some possible opportunities for economic development incentives to enhance the US 41 corridor. At the end of our presentation, we will be asking Council to provide staff with specific direction, and we will be providing recommendations to you to move forward. So with that, I'll turn it over to Jacqueline Jensen, our Planning and Zoning Manager, to begin.
Good morning. For the record, Jacqueline Gensen with Community Development. As Arlene said, this is our agenda for this morning, and I'm going to go over part 1 just to kind of give you a framework of how did we get to where we are with our existing regulations as it pertains to architectural design. Thank you. Architectural design, landscaping and buffering, signage, and use regulations. Then Sam will go ahead and follow up with after me, and then Alexis Crespo, and then Arlene will close us out. So, development patterns. How did we get to where we are today with our city? And because we incorporated in such a young phase, 1999, a lot of what exists today in our corridors is existing. We inherited it. Lee County, as far as when we did our historical research, they did not actually adopt commercial design standards until 1998. So a lot of what you have today in our older corridors is existing. Also, landscaping standards didn't come into effect until 1992, and they were also subsequently amended thereafter. And then post-1998, that is when Lee County adopted design standards. And when we incorporated, we adopted those same land development code standards, and we have amended that since then. So we do have commercial design standards in place for certain things, and I'll go into more detail of what those are. And then we have our vacant properties. And especially along the US 41 corridor, our conventional zoning will go ahead and regulate what types of uses will be there. Whereas in other portions of the city, such as Bonita Beach Road and Old 41, we have a special overlay for those uses, which gives council a little bit more control over what develops out there. So these are some examples of pre-1998 design patterns. And what you'll see is a lot of the commercial design strip centers where they're just kind of a little bit monolithic. There's no breakup in elements in design. The colors are a little bit different. Some are earth tones, some are not. There is absence of building perimeter plantings. And then you have some of the older developments of gas stations where the canopies are a little bit higher, you have striping and whatnot. So these are all different types of designs that we inherited before commercial design standards ever came into effect with the county or the city. We have had the pleasure of some of these buildings where property owners have tried to make improvements, and they've done well with what they have. So you do see some that have added some facade banding, they've added some awnings, and some landscaping. But again, this is pre-1998 design standards in landscaping and buffering. Then you have post-1998 design, where the county standards came into play, and then those standards where we have amended them since that time. And you'll see some really attractive architectural design with some different roof types, columns, colonnades. Some of our projects have actually built with more attention to the street, giving a more aesthetically pleasing design. You'll see also with the buffering, just enhanced landscaping, trees and shrubs. So you can see there's quite a difference between pre-1998 design and post-1998 design. So these are the standards that are in place at this time. So we do have some really great standards, but we're looking at ways of how we can enhance them as well. Then we have our vacant properties, and especially along the US 41 corridor, this is very important. Because in the Bonita Beach Road corridor, council made a commitment in 2003 to go ahead and have some more control over how these corridors developed. So certain uses, previous councils have agreed that you want to see these uses through a public hearing process so you can see it, you can condition it, you view it on a case-by-case basis. We don't have that in place for US 41. And as these corridors and properties do infill development, redevelopment, and new development, we might want to have those standards in place. So with existing regulations, sorry, tongue-tied today, our architectural code is in our Land Development Code, Chapter 3. And our architectural standards do govern facade, massing, building height transition, certain design elements, accent trees, accent band lighting as well. We also have special regulations for certain building types. So your storage facilities, your auto service stations, your gas stations, hotels, motels, residential multifamily, parking structures. So those are regulations that we have in place. But again, we might want to look at those again, because it's been quite some time, to see where we can enhance those standards. Also, from a site design perspective, we do parking design, we look at that, pedestrian access ways, service areas, location of drive-throughs, lighting, and also different types of site amenities. So we do look at that in our Chapter 3 standards, and as well as our landscape and buffering requirements, which we have amended more recently in the past few years to have that balance of being business-friendly but also achieving a very nice aesthetic appearance. In our Chapter 4 zoning, that's where we get into the nuts and bolts of the uses. What kind of uses do you want to see in these corridors? And right now, especially along US 41, it's whatever is in our conventional code and our matrices. So we do have a couple existing planned developments, so we would look at those as well. But that's what governs the uses along those corridors. And we might want to look at those uses and see, do we really want that there? Or do we want some more control over how these develop and how it looks? Similar to what we do in the Bonita Beach Road corridor. Some other things that we do in the zoning code, again, through the Bonita Beach Road corridor, is we limit the height. If you want higher height, it goes through a planned development or a variance process to go ahead and achieve that. So again, it's another opportunity for you as council to get involved, review the request, put conditions in place to make it compatible and attractive. In our downtown overlay, we went through that same process. And then, of course, parking is also controlled through our Chapter 4 zoning. And we want to look at that because we don't want to see a parking either. We want to be sustainable and flexible. Then we have our signage code. And our existing regulations, we do have special regulations for Bonita Beach Road. We allow ground signs only. We require architectural detail. And we limit the height. Again, very attractive, very pleasing. In our downtown, we allow just wall sign banding, but again, very attractive signage, how the signs are lit, how they look. So do we want to do that for US 41 as well? And then, in general, along these major corridors listed above, we don't allow polar pylon signs at all. And maybe we want to require citywide, again, these architectural standards to make signs more attractive and landscaping. So really just something to enhance the existing standards we have in place now. And with that, I will transition to Mr. Vincent, and will be available for questions at the end.
Thank you very much. Come on, we haven't got all day. What's wrong with you?
I'm getting old. Good morning. I'm Sam Vincent, city architect.
Sam Vincent with the casual saunter.
Yes.
All right. I can tease him like that.
I have some paperwork here, some reference material I'd like to give you on our standards, and that's what I'm going to talk about today.
Probably pick a better ballot.
What you'll see or find in this packet here would be 2 applications and 1 set of guidelines. And these are it's the material that we use to review the projects for Bonita Springs general, but they're not the guidelines we use for 041. We have a different set of guidelines for that area of town. Reason being the small scale, and it's a different image and character that we're looking for that area. So the first one you'll see is an Article 4, which is what we call Exhibit VG. Those are the actual design guidelines that architects and owners look at before they come to talk to us. The second one is the land development regulations. The third is the building design standards, Chapter 3, 606, and that's the meat of the regulations, and that is the Exhibit VG. And this is just for your reference, so you can see in it the different kinds of issues that we have the architects look at and talk to us about in designing their projects. The next part of this would be, if I can get a slide switched here, is the objective process versus the subjective process. And the reason I bring this up is because Bonita deals with the objective process, a subjective meaning that if a review is given and you have preconceived notions about what should be, you get a lot different answers. We have the written rules and regs that we'd like to have the applicants comply with, and what we do is send them through a process which includes a pre-application meeting. So when an owner wants to do something to a building and wants to put a new building in the city, they would come and talk to us in the form of a pre-application meeting. And in that meeting, I will spend a great deal of time going over with them the rules and regs that we have written. The pre-app meeting also serves as a way to talk with the architects one-on-one with what they're trying to do and what they're trying to accomplish as it regards architecture and the design that we would like to see in the city. I will offer advice and recommendations for what we'd like to see. We work with them closely using these standards as a guideline. What I like for the architects to do is to go beyond that and understand the intent of the city and what we would like to see here. And the reception to that has been very good. The expedited approval here process means that due to the pre-application meeting, we only do this one time, so that the architects out there are not sending us several iterations of what they'd like to do. They understand when they leave that meeting what we're all trying to accomplish, so that today, our answers today and our recommendations are the same tomorrow as they are today. A big point there is being objective rather than subjective. We don't want the architects and owners playing games with what do I think the review board will want today. Okay, that's really, really important to remember. And what this is about here today, talking with you, is how can we make these rules and regulations better than they are now? But all of these will hinge on what you as a council see for the city. The aesthetics, the styles, the architectural language that we use is what we're trying to get to now that may not be in our standards today. We want an opportunity to maybe add to that, but add to that based on what you see is the direction that we should take. These design guidelines right now meet 90 to 95% of the building types that we are going to look at ever. Meaning that we have Mediterranean, we have modern, we have international, we have the vernacular, small scale, those kinds of things. But there's a broad range that an architect can use to design his building. This method is cost-effective and predictable. It means that when you have written guidelines like this, and the reviewer sticks to these written guidelines, that, again, as I say, tomorrow is what it is today. You don't have to go back and say, well, I'm wondering what is going to happen today with my design. The next part of this comes through the development order and limited development order process. Part of what you're going to look at and part of what we should be looking at here in terms of the 41 corridor here is the building siting and massing, meaning how large should a building be, where should it sit on a site, where should parking be, what kinds of landscaping that we have, the planning and zoning requirements such as parking, the amount of parking, where the location is on the site, determines where the building should be placed. We lately have been looking at buildings being closer to 41 than being put far away with all the parking up front. That is successful in some cases. But through dialogue and through working with the architects, looking at the site and where the building should be placed, we generally get to a good compromise on that topic. It's important here because the massing along 41, as you see it today, typically deals with parking up front and the building in the rear. There are opportunities, and we do have some examples of that, where the building is placed closer and the parking is in the rear. Important point to look at from a city standpoint in terms of how you want the city to be perceived. The scale of the architecture is real important. Right now we have a lot of small scale structures out there. We may continue that way, but some do get pretty large. Shopping centers, for example. Subjective issues in building siting and massing would deal with views and orientation. Many times an orientation of a building has to do with the level of energy used in the building, for example, west side, east side, those kinds of things are typically discussed. The views are very important in terms of do we look at the highway or do we look at foreground in front of the building. Those are technical issues, but they're very important issues as it relates to the image of the building. The image along the corridor 41, same with Beach Road. Right now we have more than 10 current guidelines that deal with massing of a building. And all of these is written material, they're objective, and an applicant can see what is expected of them. I can't make that point strong enough that the assurances that an architect receives from us in a review are ones that we're going to stand by. It gives them also an opportunity to create a dialogue with us, looking for new ways or different ways to design a building and the massing. Through a meeting, a pre-app meeting, we can discuss what they're trying to achieve and what we're trying to achieve for a city. So if we can get all of this in a document that states what we're looking for, it makes it easier for us to talk with those architects and owners. These are the styles, the current styles that we look at, the recurring architectural design styles. Mediterranean, which we are familiar with, Old Florida, Modern International, the historic references such as colonial, Bermuda, and island forms. There are some others that architects can apply for under modern, could be contemporary, some other terms like that. But in each of these design styles, and remember, design styles come from architectural language, meaning columns, the type of columns that we use, the type of porches we use, the type of roofs that we use, the wall massing. All of that puts them in a certain category. And here's some examples. This is the Mediterranean mixed use. And the reason that I chose the mixed use building types to look at here is that more than likely for the sites along the 41 corridor, the development of that would be in the mixed use category. And you can see that these are quite interesting to look at. They're not bland. They exude a character. And I think that's what we're going to be looking for that particular corridor as we move forward. And here's one that's old Florida mixed use. You can tell with the metal roofs, the shading over the glazing there, the Bahama shutters, the canvas awnings, things like that, that say old Florida. It brings the scale down to a one-on-one. You can understand it very clearly. You can relate to it. As opposed to some very modern buildings that are very large and have minimum detail. Here's a modern international mixed use, and you can see here there are variations of form, and you can also see the difference between this structure and the images and symbolism here from the ones I just showed you. And there are buildings that will be suggested that will fall into this category. And I'm going to explain at the end why this might be important to us to look at. In closing, what I would like to show you here is through the collaborative process, I think we can reach with the architects something that we would like to see and they would like to see. As long as we consider what the owner would like to do in terms of his budget and his image and what would like to see as a city. The definitive architectural styles should emulate a sense of place. We're in Bonita, we're in Florida. We're not in New York City, or San Francisco, or places like that. So the guidelines that we have here, the standards, should suggest and lead designers in the direction that we would like them to go. We have an image of Bonita. They have an image as well. But I think you represent the community, and we should have an input in those designs. We should take an opportunity here, I think, to enhance the design criteria we have, and that's why we're here today, is to ask for an opportunity for us to begin to embellish and to add to the standards that we already have. I've gone through these standards quite a bit. I use them all the time, and there are areas that we can address that will give us better renditions of the styles that we like to see or promote. I think that to clear up what I'm saying here, to make it more clear in layman's terms, is if you choose the Mediterranean style for the building, then what you would have to do is, per the guidelines, if you follow the guidelines, you will fall into a category that allows a more accurate rendition of Mediterranean. And that's one of the keys. If you are choosing a modern building, what are the elements of that building that make it modern, and how true is it to the community that we're in? How does it relate? What's the vocabulary that the building has with the rest of the buildings on that corridor? And of course, that's my job, to look at how each of these buildings are relating to one another. But I think that where we can enhance the regulations we have now is to get more descriptive of each of these styles that we have. You know, what does it mean to do Mediterranean? What does it mean to do the colonial style architecture? So we will insert in these documents those different characteristics that will funnel the designer towards that end result. And we can do that. We are, in closing, let me say that there are a couple of things here I'd like to say I think may help you here is that to create visual interest, along 41 here, the reason that we want to do that, I think, is to create diversity, and that's why we have the different styles, from the colonial, Mediterranean, modern. The diversity will then create vitality. It also create community. So in allowing choices for the architects and owners, we create that vitality. Thank you.
Very good, very good. Can we go on? I want to, she has places to go, so I want to go ahead and get, are you all right? I'm fine now. Okay, you're fine now? Okay, good. Go ahead with your question, Martha.
Yeah, when you're looking at design, because I know, when we drive on US 41, and it's a fast-moving road, but is there any way to, well, I guess there is, but what it looks like to me is more of a suburban, okay, it looks like Route 17 in New Jersey, if anybody know what that is, okay? All right, Pete knows what that is, okay? Which basically has been a pass-through. How you talked about sense of place. We've talked about sense of place downtown, and that, I think, has a different look, of course, than what we have on New 41. But what's been constructed still feels like suburban shopping strip mall sprawl. How do you help change that over a period of time with your architectural design? How can we make that something where people want to stop and, we're going to go over here, which is what we want?
One of the things that could be looked at is building siding and massing. When you break down the mass of a building from something long, say, and tall, and you get into smaller pieces, then it gives the passerby a chance to relate to that building.
Okay, and so when you do that, you're going to relate it to the next parcel.
You will.
Next door.
That's
I'm
right.
really excited about this, and I want to thank the mayor for suggesting we do this, because there's a need, and even with these frontage roads, to be able to piece together, we need that south of the bridge, like right where the CVS and the Hampton is right now. I mean, that would take probably about $20 to fix, but anyhow.
But I think
I thank you.
there are other elements such as parking where it's placed on the site, getting the buildings closer to 41 is certainly a thing to do, I believe, because when you bring the cone of vision closer to you, you relate to things much quicker.
Human scale.
Human scale, and that's the key, human scale. And if you notice, even in New York City, San Francisco, you have multi-story buildings. What they do is concentrate on the level that you experience, which is usually the first and second floor. And if you notice, there's a lot of great architecture that happens in that zone. And the shaft of the building is always for the distant viewing. Take note of that next time, you'll see what you can do with that.
Good. Any other questions?
Thank you, exciting.
Thank you, Martha. Yes.
Give
go
me
ahead.
a good color palette, though, and no neon. Thank you.
Now, could I ask, or an opinion, I guess, and/or a question
Peter?
to you and to Carl? I'd like to actually take this a step further, and when we look at, I say citywide, that may not be feasible, but when we look citywide, and I discussed this briefly with Carl this morning, when we have a Lowe's or a Home Depot or a Superstore or a dollar store or an oil change or, quite frankly, a McDonald's or a Burger King or anything that comes in for an enhanced design, I'd like to improve upon kind of like what we have would be a standard design. I'd like to have an enhanced design, and whether we, obviously we'll need to discuss that and vote on that at a different time, but I'd like to move that forward as well.
I think it's a very good point, because that's exactly what I'm talking about in the guidelines here. And I always go back to the guidelines because when it's written, you can enforce that. You can't enforce something that's subjective. So what I'm asking, what we're trying to do is let's be certain of the character, of the elements that make character in the guidelines, write those in the guidelines to keep the designers focused as to where they're headed with this. And we can do that.
Good. All right, let's go to the next phase. Thank you, Sam. And we'll go to the next phase here and then see where we'll go from there.
Thank you. Good morning.
Hello.
Alexis Crespo with Waldrop Engineering.
I'm sorry, but do you have a question?
No, I'm getting up to do.
Oh, never mind.
The light.
He's
The
just making,
lights,
he's just
the
making old
lights.
man noises.
I went from completely insensitive to totally way too sensitive.
Missed him.
No, he's
What
just
happened?
going to the light.
Going old
Just
man.
going to the light.
Just making old man noises.
As you were.
You could at least say gentlemen.
Go ahead.
Thank you, and I
Alex.
just want to say it's a pleasure to be back before you and assisting
And you have a nice
staff with
soft
the
voice, so could you
presentation.
talk into the microphone a little
Oh,
more?
it's a pleasure to be back before you and assisting staff with this presentation. Building upon what Councilwoman Simmons stated,
Simons.
my portion, Simons has, Simons.
That's Simmons.
There you go. Carry on.
Both Simons and Simmons stated.
These two.
How exactly are we going to implement these concepts for specific enhancing the design standards along US 41? So I was going to run through those with you today. We've established, a high-level framework for you to consider of things that we would address through this process. We'd look at uses, what uses are completely inappropriate for your US 41 corridor, which is a major thoroughfare through the town, as well as some uses that you don't necessarily want to prohibit but need special love and attention, like Lowe's and fast food and things of that nature. Also, general site development regulations, which Mr. Vincent alluded to in terms of building placement and things of that nature, to create more of a sense of place and a pedestrian scale along the roadway, and also architectural standards. So jumping right into the first one on that list, prohibited and permitted uses. These are not new concepts. You have developed this for your downtown Bonita and your old 41 overlay that's currently in your code. So we just look at applying the specific standards to new 41 or US 41. This is one of those oil change centers with the bays oriented toward the roadway that could create an unattractive view shed. And that's one of those planning terms I throw around a lot. And that simply means when you're traveling down the road, if you're walking, if you're in your vehicle, and you look out the window, is what you're seeing attractive, or is what you're seeing more like that? So looking at the uses, some things that aren't appropriate on this thoroughfare in order to make sure that the views are attractive throughout Bonita. And also, at the same time, we have to balance that with the fact that there are established businesses that need to continue to operate, and how we can work that into the corridor plan. Getting into supplementary regulations for certain uses. They shouldn't necessarily be prohibited, but they certainly need different design standards compared to other uses due to their mass, scale, and their function, and what type of services they offer. And this is, I believe, one of those that could very clearly be applied to the entire city. Certainly.
Is there a store that's actually called Big Box?
I think that's one of those stock photos, but.
Okay, sorry, I'm just curious. I thought that was funny.
There is somewhere.
It's funny. Go ahead.
So this could be one that you would want to consider applying to the whole city. They're certainly more likely along your arterial roadways, such as US 41. And then through the corridor study as well, we could look at other certain uses that would need supplementary regulations to protect the views, support a diversity of uses, but also make sure that the design standards are unique to those unique types of uses. Site development standards, this would apply to really any of your buildings along US 41. It wouldn't be specific to uses. It would be to create that sense of place and reduce the auto orientation feel by limiting views of parking lots. This is your Retina Eye Care, gorgeous building. You don't see the parking, nicely landscaped, and creates more of a Main Street feel. And they opted to do that design because they realized it was going to be, great enhancement to their project. But we can modify your land development code to create maximum setbacks as opposed to minimum, saying they can't be more than 25 foot from the right of way. Whereas most standards now are minimums, and meaning they could set back 200 feet if they want to and do, the sea of parking. So that's one major aspect of site development standards, which we would look at, as well as liner buildings, circulation, ensuring good pedestrian access through the sites and throughout the sites, interconnections that don't necessarily need to be those unattractive frontage roads, but other ways of creating interconnections and keeping the trips from having to constantly re-enter US 41 and limiting those traffic problems. And of course, unique landscaping standards are appropriate along your major corridors, such as US 41, which could be identified through this process. Mr. Vincent has touched in detail on architectural standards. This is an example of a Bermuda-style Publix. Certainly, when you codify acceptable architectural themes, it forces your national builders and also any builder to modify their architectural style to adhere to what the community wants to see. A lot of times, if Walmart wants to come into your community and you don't have a specific style or menu of styles in place, you get the lowest common denominator of that specific store. So through this process, we can identify multiple styles. I think that was a clear recommendation from your architect, that you don't want a monotonous cookie cutter type look throughout the town, but that there can be a menu of options to ensure a very high quality of design. And of course, that last bullet point is important, the flexibility through the process, allowing a deviation process, allowing them to work with the city architect to ensure creativity is implemented and that people aren't overly restricted. And then the last item, again, these are just very high level that we could incorporate into the corridor plan, would be for signage. You've already prohibited pylon and pole signs, so that goes a long way, but we can take it a step further, limiting the height and scale, color and trim palette that's come up on some of your recent projects, where we can make sure they're muted and certain colors would be inappropriate based on the look and character we're looking to achieve. Landscape and lighting at the base of your signs are very important. Sometimes overlighting those can create a pretty unattractive view from the streets. And then also looking towards a more form-based standard for your signage, which is simply, in simplest terms, getting away from just straight verbiage of code and creating a more illustrative process to work within. And it can instill creativity in the process and ensure a high quality of design. And it's kind of one of the forefront changes in land development codes at this time. We're seeing a divergent from your conventional codes to more form-based concepts. So those are the framework that we've kind of put together for you to consider when addressing your US 41 corridor. And I will turn it back over to Ms. Hunter.
So in conclusion, why now? Your staff would like to take a real proactive approach instead of reactive. The opportunities are growing out there. We are seeing the economic development climate improving. We can see that through the increased requests we have for pre-application meetings happening regularly. There's a great opportunity for infill and redevelopment interest. We still also have vacant parcels along the US 41 corridor that are ripe for redevelopment. We'd like to go ahead and in its inception and its concept and idea to have these design standards in place, so when they come to us, we're prepared with these options to provide with them. Your Land Development Code, Chapter 3, Design Standards, was last amended in 2008, and we feel this is the appropriate time to readdress these issues. We would be like to come back to you with specialized aesthetic incentives for the US 41 corridor. We realize that the site, the mass, and the scale of commercial properties along US 41 greatly differs from those on our old 41 corridor. You have already adopted and implemented and in fact successfully passed along grants to improve the aesthetics on the old 41 corridor. We'd like to look at that issue for the US 41 corridor. We do realize that that would require a increased funding source. Because we would, in order to see an actual impact on those aesthetics, on that facade and on that landscaping, you're looking at a greater dollar value to see a difference. So we'd like to bring back proposed economic development standards for you, incentives for you to look on as that as well. These would be layered with the existing plans and programs you already have in place. So, for example, if we are looking at a targeted industry that it would like to locate on US 41, we'd still have the opportunity to look at those specific job creation incentives and also create a special menu for them and couple that with the aesthetic incentives that we can offer as well. All of these packages would, as the other programs do, come back to you for final approval. And they would be performance-based, and it would only be permitted the money once all the work is completed, inspections have been done, and certificates of completion had been awarded to the applicants. So with that, we're looking to provide you with recommendations, and we like to move forward, staff would like to move forward with preparing an overlay for the US 41 corridor. We would like to address uses, site design, architectural theme and designs, and as well as signage. Again, some of these would be looking for citywide, but specifically an overlay for the 41 corridor. We would like to pursue amendments to the LDC3 for these citywide implementations, and we'd like to get your approval to move forward with drafting incentives for the US 41 corridor for the older developments that we have in place so that they can be more consistent with the new infill that comes in. And with that, we stand by for your questions.
Council, yes.
What a good presentation. Well done, and how exciting, because I think, we have
Don't go away.
newer buildings there, and it's a whole different feeling than what I think the old 41. I'd take the old 41 palette and put it on the new 41 and get back to, fun on old 41. But anywho, that's another day, which I won't be here for. But I'm all for this. This is great. I'm going to throw in my 2 cents on lighting. Really, that band lighting and the neon outdoor on the building lighting. Not just sign lighting. And I'll tell you, the best sign lighting is Riverview Center. They have some of the most attractive nighttime sign lighting. You can read it, and it's not all this sky glow and all this. It's very visible to the eye, no glare for the driver. So, that's my comment about that. But this is exciting, and it's well needed, and I thank you very much for putting all this time into it. And you made a great presentation, Arlene,
Good, well done.
as well the others.
Anyone else? Janet?
Thank you. Our city, obviously, as was shown in the presentation, we've had our growing pains in the design field, so this was just awesome. I support it 100%. I love that you're going to include landscaping and the interconnectivity between businesses and properties on the frontage roads, how important that is to, if you're just going to bop from this store to that store, you don't have to pull out into traffic. I think that is so important. We need to see more of that done. And I guess for me, the bottom line is that, using what you just said, is that we require high-quality designs in our buildings and in the signage, and that's what we need to do.
Amen.
Thank you.
Okay, good. Stephen?
Yes, Arlene, also a great presentation. I support this 100%. It may be a little early, I know, in the game, but do we have any idea of funding and what it would cost?
We're going to be looking at our economic development budget that we currently have in place. This may require us to go back into our going forward into our next fiscal year to have you allocate some additional funds as we create this program and move forward. So we want to actually take a good look at what would actually make an impact, a visual impact in providing those funds. So I'd like to bring back those dollar values. We would be looking to use the funding sources that we have in place now, but again, we may be asking for additional funds in the next fiscal year.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else? Pete?
I support this moving forward, obviously, and Carl, just, if we need to tighten anything up, or just come back and let's have it real tight. Okay. Yeah, I know,
Lockhart.
absolutely, thank you.
Okay. Do you need any other instructions other than to carry on? Are you okay, Bill?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Are you going to ask that
You
again?
you need other instructions
Careful.
except to go ahead and carry on. What do you see as the next part of the process? What are you going to bring back to us next? Do we need a broader picture so that you can start nailing down some of these different items? Or
We're going to begin making revisions and drafts to the Land Development Code. We'll work with the LPA on this as well, and we'll continue to keep you updated as we move segments along. And then we'll be coming forward with a separate document on the incentives specifically for you to adopt to put that program in place.
I know it's very tricky to do this, but if you could bring it back a part of the time, and I know they're all interconnected, so it makes it difficult, but if you could
We will-
not bring us back a volume.
We will put it
stick.
in bite-sized pieces so that we can address
We
each.
like that.
Bite-sized pieces so we can address each. Yes.
One bite at a
We'll
time.
take bite-sized pieces. And I did want to also give a quick, is that the challenges that we've seen pre-1998 and the development standards that we have in sight, we embrace those. Those folks that we showed pictures of, they're part of our community. We want to stand by them and do whatever we can to help them enhance their properties as well. every other community in Florida and Southwest Florida and across the country has these development challenges as they move forward, and we're just here to help those businesses continue their growth and their process.
Good. Thank you very much, and carry on. Nicely done. Very well. Okay. Here we are. Did we finally make it to public hearings? Is that what we did? Yeah, right? Number 8? Yeah. Yeah, we a circuitous route that we got there.
Thank you.
Okay, look it up, Reader's Digest, yesterday, anyway.
If we can hold the following hearing, this is a zoning resolution of the City of Bonita Springs, Florida, considering a request to grant relief from LDC 4-2194B to allow 5-foot setback at the inlet portion of land located at 27550 Tarpon Way, Bonita Springs, Florida, providing for an effective date. This is a zoning resolution which went to the zoning board on December 17th. If council has questions, we can have both Mr. McCarris here representing the applicant and Ms. Genson, but I think the record pretty much speaks for itself.
Okay. For the public's edification, what was the zoning board, what was the vote from the zoning board?
The vote was, I believe, 7-0. And the case is for the public, yes, 7-0. The case for the public was.
As to approve.
Right, to approve.
Okay, thank you.
It is truly, if you look at the diagrams in here, something where you see a small portion that you'd have to carve out a portion of the house if you did not grant the variance.
Okay, all right.
But that more. We do have parties of record.
Yes, I
if
got
they-
them right here.
Okay.
At this time, council, before we carry on, I'm going to go ahead and call the parties record, and these are people who will be able to speak on this item, and these people only. Terry Foreman, are you here, Terry? No. Michael Daly, are you here? Would you like to speak? No. Also, Barney Silva, and we've got Barney Silva again. That's not two people, is it? There's Barney Silva of Big Bend Road and Barney Silva of Miami. Wow, that's weird and probably incorrect, right? Okay, yeah, John's saying yeah. Okay, haha. Anyway, can't fool me. Anyway, those let's see, we'll call the parties of record are not here, so that part of public comment is over. Council, what is your pleasure?
So move.
Make a motion to approve and seconded as approved by the zoning board. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Councilman Simmons?
Aye.
Councilwoman Simons?
Aye.
Councilman Longcart?
Aye.
Councilman McIntosh?
Aye.
Councilwoman Martin?
Aye.
Councilman Slakta?
Aye.
Mayor Nelson?
Aye. Okay, what do you have for us next? We have a public hearing, and public comment is allowed on this one.
Absolutely. And for the record, Audrey Vance, City Attorney, I'm going to read the title block into the record. This is an ordinance of the City of Bonita Springs, Florida, authorizing the negotiation of a loan in the aggregate amount not to exceed $13 million from Bank of America Preferred Funding Corporation to finance certain capital improvements to the Bonita Springs downtown area, providing for certain other matters in connection with the making of such loan, and providing an effective date. This is the second reading of the ordinance. The actual loan agreement is attached as Exhibit A to this, to the very short ordinance. The city charter requires that these actions take an ordinance. It also requires the 30-day effective date so that we could act upon this item rather quickly before interest rates changed. I was requested to draft a quick ordinance to get this done. Closing will be around February 14th, 2014.
Okay, you have any questions, council? Carl, you have anything to add? Okay, council, what's your pleasure?
Move the item.
Oh, I'm sorry, I apologize. Any members of the public wish to speak to this matter, please come forward. Seeing none, Bill, you move the item?
Yes.
I have a motion, is there a
Second.
second? We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Simons?
Yes.
Councilman Longcart?
Aye.
Councilman McIntosh?
Aye.
Councilwoman Martin?
Aye.
Councilman
Aye.
Slakta? Mayor Nelson?
Aye,
Councilman Simmons?
Aye.
just like that. you did it.
Bingo, huh?
Bingo, bingo. What was the big deal?
No big deal.
Okay, public comment. At this time, we're going to have public comment on any item at all. Just come forward, please.
Fred Forbes. It's a lot more fun to stand here and say what I'm for than
Yeah.
against.
Are you for getting me a new one of these? Because
Probably so.
it only works when I go like that.
First of all, anyone in their right mind, Bonita Springs would be for a charter high school. And I agree with Councilman McIntosh, if at all possible, it needs to be operated by the YMCA for a number of good reasons, and I think it'll probably work out that way. I want to compliment the staff on what they brought before you on the tightening up things. I would suggest this, and Councilman Simmons, I believe, brought this up. We're ripe with different parcels already zoned to get a superstore. It's just a matter of whether it's next week that they come in, 6 months, next year. A lot of those parcels happen to be east of I-75 overpass. It's imperative that those be included in this tightening up, because the last thing that nicely developed area of your community needs is a plain Jane box store. I don't care if it's Super Walmart or a satellite store of Dillard's or whatever. So that should be added to the mix. And I think if you're talking about bite size, that should be the first bite in the apple, because a huge box store anywhere in Bonita Springs, I don't care if it's on New 41, Old 41, up around Burnwood, east of I-75, and we got a bunch of parcels already zoned. It would be devastating and it would be irreversible, and that would be easy, a bite size of that, so that we get something that's really nice, like I think Estero's got a Super Walmart in construction. I'm not proposing it be like that. The other thing, I think we want to really focus on getting the community where it's more friendly to that younger crowd that we once were part of, where they're interested in bicycling and walkways and all that. And that creates economic development opportunities, because if Lee Memorial builds that satellite hospital up at Coconut Point, we're going to get a lot of those doctors and those tech people down here. Right now, we're lacking in that. So I would urge you to do that. And the last thing, I think that we need to look at prohibited uses a little more. Like, I don't think we want to have tattoo parlors on 41, New 41. We already got one. So we need to look at those uses. And I'm not against tattoo parlors. I don't have a tattoo, but I don't have that problem with anybody wanting them. But I just don't think they belong in certain areas of the city. So that's it. And I want to thank Councilman Simons for all of her good work. And I'm sure that she'll be missed. Thank you.
Very much. Next speaker, please.
Jean Bear with the Local Roots Farmers Markets. I had failed to mention, when we had done our permitting process, we had asked to start in February, and feeling a little crunched for time, so would be open to consideration for a March-April market of this year, or starting next October through April.
Oh,
Thank
thank
you.
you very much. Next speaker, please.
I was going to say good morning, but it's good afternoon. Kathy McGrath for the record. I'd like to have my last 3 minutes to make my comments known again on the DRGR. As you all know, I was against the moratorium. And I've been a little disappointed that certain very respected community leaders have kind of been less than truthful with some of the information that they gave their residents out in East Bonita that got them all upset and riled up. For example, the flooding issue. If they had looked at the Baracco report, as was pointed out, the flowways did not come from the north. Now, I remember picking tomatoes out there. I've been here over 40 years. I also was there when they sounded the horn at noon and put the first bucket of earth, dug it up for Worthington. And I can tell you that as any flooding that's happened over the years has come from the east, when there's been tremendous storms, either hurricanes or whatever. Now, I simply do not believe that the people that showed up in force here represent the feelings of everybody that lives out in East Bonita. And I think most of them have never even taken a ride north on Bonita Grand. And don't look to the right, to the Crew Trust, but get out there and cross Terry and look to the left, to the property right next to Citrus Park. Talk to the homeowners there. Some of them, they're not out of state. Some of them have been here 2 and 3 generations. Names that come to mind are like Daychuck, Chrysophylle. And I wonder, all these other people around town, oh, no more people, don't develop it. Well, if you owned that property, would you stand up and say, well, you know what? I don't need this money for my family or anything. I think I'll just, for perpetuity, never develop it. I don't think so. The mine, they're portrayed as greedy foreign bankers. Has anyone ever really looked at what their restoration plans are when they're finished mining? I'm told they're pretty good. And you know what? If they sued the city for not being part of this task force, I wouldn't blame them. Or if they asked to be removed from the annexation, I wouldn't. They can go to the county commissioners, and guess what kind of density the county commissioners would allow? You know, be careful what you ask for, you just might get it. I would really like to see not only the task force, but I wish we have wonderful reporters and wonderful media here, an in-depth study. Talk to Bonita Springs Utilities. Everyone worries about drinking water or lack of reverse osmosis. Go to the horse's mouth. Go to the ones and get the true facts. Go to the mine operators. Find out what it is. I mean, the task force can look for this, but if the media publishes it in the papers or on TV, more people would know what's really true and what's not true. The study group. The moratorium was not needed. You could have your study group and say not to exceed 1 year. That would have been more appropriate. And city staff should be involved. You don't want to have a moratorium for a year, bring up your facts, and then present them to the city staff, and then they start all over again. And let's face it, any study that comes up even in a year, no one's going to, the naysayers will not be happy with unless it says no, no, no. A year from now, whoever's sitting up there is going to have to straighten their backbone and make the decision that should have been made already. I think I've said it all. Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
My name is Deborah McLean, and I'm the publisher of the Banana Peel, and I do cover the DRG issues, and I want you to know that I love Kathy McGrath and her blind loyalty. Thank you.
Oh, gosh.
I don't know if I can follow that act.
But you're gonna.
I'm gonna. My name is Wesley Norris, and again, a resident, property owner in Bonita Springs for the past 32 years. I'm glad that I was quick enough to get back for this portion. I went out with Sheriff Scott to make a presentation to the family out east of town for the work they do with the Christmas lights. So that was a good thing for me to be able to do. A lot of times you get a lot of people up here who tell you what you shouldn't do and can't do this and let's don't do that. But let's talk about a couple positive things that this council has done. The financial responsibility that this council has shown for the past several years is outstanding. We have seen a tremendous drop in our values, our property values, and you guys have maintained the millage, and you have maintained the service in this city with that drop in that particular value and the monies that coming in. So I think you are to be congratulated on that. Thank you for that outstanding job. Ms. Simons, contrary to belief, I think you and I probably are not as far apart on some things as we think. I see you have your royal purple on today, and I also want to thank you for the job that you've done for the past several years. It takes a special person to get off the sidelines and come before a group and take the shots that you guys all take, and I appreciate you doing that. So on that note, I also thank you for bringing on November the 6th, I believe it was, the recommendation that council appoint a committee or a group to study the way, if it can be done, the way it can be done in the DRGR. I'm glad that group is together. I understand they've had their first meeting, and I'm looking forward to seeing what comes out of that. And let's do wait and see what comes out of that. It may be a remark that says don't do it. Let's wait and see before we jump on and say yes, no, or indifferent. But thank you again, council, for the job you do. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Anyone else this time, please come forward. Seeing none, we are to the city attorney's report.
And I'm happy to say that staff recommendation was taken before we were having to go and ask direction. We did get better contact information with Mr. Koloff. Happy to report no other legal action is necessary. He will be leaving the
So we're
premises.
pulling the item?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, the item's removed. Do you have anything else for us?
Very nice man. No, that's it, but also for Councilmember Simons, thank you for your service.
Okay.
Thank you
City
for yours.
Manager's report. We are up to you, Carl.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First off, I've got the monthly financial report. Any questions from council? We can handle those.
Anything?
No questions? Okay, moving on. The next item on my agenda here is the proposal for Local Roots LLC to operate the farmers market. You've heard from the representative a couple of times this morning with regards to that issue. Remember now that the council never denied this application. It was sent back to staff with the purpose of trying to determine whether there was a day other than Saturday competing with the Lions Club that the group would be willing to entertain. The response to that was no, that Saturday had to be their day, as you have heard again this morning from their representative. And at this point in time, they have reapplied officially, and they are looking for your response. Again, we stand ready for whatever council would like it to do, but again, based upon your comments from the past, if you approve the permit, we may want to look at that for some other day than Saturday. Again, that is not what the applicant's asking for. Or again, send it back to us and see if there's some additional day, but I will tell you that effort has been fruitless in the past.
Okay.
So council's pleasure.
Council, what's your pleasure? Any ideas, any comments? And staff, just to clarify, the staff recommendation is to do that, is to offer some other day, approve it for some other day other than Saturday, or to continue, continue the consideration of this application. Go ahead.
And along those lines, I do have to indicate that, staff has been very impressed with their product, with what they do. We would like to see if there is a way that we could resolve this so that they could operate within the city, within the parameters that council has set. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like our conversations with them are getting us to that point. We have tried again to work out something other than Saturdays. It hasn't been successful. But it has nothing to do with our opinion of what they do, what they're trying to do, and frankly, we hope at some point we will be successful.
Is there any point in looking at this as, from a standpoint of putting ourselves in a position where we have to compare the two products? Well, they're going to supply this kind of product, or we're going to they're going to supply that kind of product. I mean, I wouldn't want to put ourselves in that position, because she had mentioned that they weren't mutually inconsistent with each other. But I imagine the Lions Club would argue otherwise.
Right, and we're really not trying to get into that level of detail in terms of comparing how many stalls and how many products are similar or not similar.
Absolutely.
The type of operation and...
The original intent of setting regulations up was so there wouldn't be a proliferation of this type of use to begin with. And
We have one.
as similar as it might be, I guess, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, so, okay. All right. Council, what would you like to do?
Mayor, I just want to introduce Ray and Judy Pincherick. They are the managing committee and managers appointed, of, and they're very funny, too, of the Saturday market. And I can just tell you from speaking with them, and also, the chief, I get the big corner for parking, to direct parking out there, so hey, fun. But they do share some of the same vendors, so to have it on the same day risks the potential that both of them wouldn't have vendors, one or the other. I think it would diminish both markets. And we have another little, market on Wednesday, and another little market on, what day is that? Friday, that Brian Spina has over at Imperial Parkway. I don't think that's such a big deal. He's trying. I don't think that's going to, take off, but it's a little effort. Nice for the neighbors. They can get some fruit and vegetables. So I don't know that that's going to work, but I'm fine for another day, but I just don't think that they'd be able to share the vendors on Saturday. And I'm sorry. They've been here for a gazillion years, and first come, first serve.
So is it fair to say, Council, I mean, is it your stance that your position stays the same? You would welcome them to make an application on another date, just not on Saturday? Is that
Yeah, that's fine. I just have one, I want to refresh council's memory. City Attorney Vance, are we inside the law by denying this?
I'm sorry, by what?
Are we inside the law if we agree with this going forward? All right, that's all I'm asking. Okay.
Yep, okay.
Can I have Just one bit of
Absolute-
clarification.
Sure.
If direction is, as I think it's going to be, to go ahead and try to still negotiate with them for a date other than Saturday, and I probably should have asked Audrey this beforehand, but would it be possible to get approval in advance, basically, since there is some time constraints, they're trying to get this thing up and going as soon as possible? If we were able to come to some date other than Saturday, could we just
Or
go ahead
Wednesday.
and grant that approval?
Or Wednesday.
Without bringing it back to council, I guess.
Friday or Sunday would be fine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Friday or Sunday?
I'm just trying to clear the path so that we can get them up and operating if we can come to some
Right.
conclusion.
I would
I just
suggest
don't
the
wanna see it
motion would
compete
be
with
not to
Wednesday
deny,
either.
but to approve it contingent upon the date change
There you
to any day but Saturday.
Saturday or Wednesday.
That way you have Sunday, you can have Friday, whatever else is available.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
good?
Yeah.
You good?
I just want to say something quickly. Yeah, I mean, Lions Club, my grandparents were very active in that.
Oh,
In New
really?
Hampshire, growing up, very, very active. Wonderful organization. However, whether I want to use the word competition or not, I think this is free market, free enterprise. I'm all for it, despite the same day, so I will not be supporting this.
Mayor?
Yes.
The name of this company is Local Roots. I don't know who has deeper local roots than the Lions Club Bonita Springs, so I'm staying with them. Thanks.
Well, and I would go a little bit further than that, not much further, but whether it was Lions Club, no matter what was going on, no matter who the established provider of that particular venue was at that time,
Support them.
council took the position that, wow, one's enough on that particular day. We don't want to have 2 or 3 or 4 different ones going on the same day in the community because of all kinds of different issues. And so, I mean, even separating the Lions Club out of it, and that's the horse that we saddled to begin with. So
Sure.
Okay. So is there a motion that, or we don't need a motion? It's the
I'll make a
the position
motion.
that we have is the same. Is that correct, or do you need that? You need a motion?
Audrey had a motion.
We have a motion. We need to have a motion. Go ahead.
Continue consideration of this application to
another
get
day
a
besides
mutually
Saturday.
agreeable day can be determined.
And again, I apologize for this,
No,
but
no.
I think a question has also come up about whether or not Saturday afternoon would be appropriate. I don't know, we haven't had that conversation with Local Roots, but just for complete disclosure here, the new motion says any date other than Saturday, Wednesday. Does that mean Saturday all day or just Saturday morning?
Well, and it's any other day other than Saturday. But if you come back to council and go, hey, look, they've actually applied, wanted to do it afternoon, you can always come back and ask us about something else. That doesn't preclude you from
Good
doing
enough,
that.
thank you.
Okay? So there's a motion to second. Any other discussion?
What
Roll
are you
call.
looking at me for?
Councilman Longcart?
Aye.
Councilman McIntosh?
Aye.
Councilwoman Martin?
Aye.
Councilman Slackton?
Aye.
Mayor Nelson?
Aye.
Councilman Simmons?
No.
Councilwoman Simons?
Aye.
Okay, Carl, what else you got for us?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My next item, I just wanted to first off tell you that we had a tremendous turnout for the National Art Festival downtown this last weekend. Thousands and thousands of people were down there. We were packed out as far as parking. We got good comments from the Art Center and the promoters there, and the artists were saying good things, and I think we have to wait to see what the sales numbers looked like, but just a great opportunity to further expose downtown Bonita to people who may not have even known Old 41 existed prior to that time. So I was down there several times. It was exciting. I want to thank Laura and her team, Joanne and Patrick, as well as our maintenance folks out of Parks and Recreation for the great job they did. And we're looking forward to 2 more great events down there, one in February and one in March as well. And then the last thing I would like to say is that, Martha, it has been a privilege and a lot of fun to serve with you, and I've enjoyed working with you. You have a great passion for this community, a big heart for everyone, for all of us citizens, and it's been a pleasure, and best of lucks to you. Thank you.
Thank you. And I probably made you a little nuts, too.
Never.
Never.
John?
Good form.
Good.
One last item I'd like to update council on. As you've heard already, the Citizens Water Strategy Task Force had their first meeting. They will be meeting again on February 3rd here in Chambers at 1 o'clock. It was a very productive meeting. There will be a lot of information generated by and reviewed by this group. And along those lines, I have one request of council. I've talked to the city attorney, and she tells me it's appropriate, if approved by council, to make available to members of our volunteer task force city equipment. The reason why I'm bringing that up is because one of our members is currently going through an issue with his computer. I don't know that he will need a substitute computer or laptop, but we do have available a backup laptop, and I'd like to get council's approval that if it's Paul passed, Paul has an issue right now with his equipment, so if he can't get that resolved, we'd like to make a city laptop available to him. It will make it easier for us to be communicating with him on the kind and transferring the kind of information that the group needs to be involved with.
Audrey?
Yeah, I just want to point out that when I gave him the point, we already adopted administrative code in 2012 dealing with our social media, and in that we had use of city media by non-employees. So we already contemplated that the possibility that we might use media, and I believe for special events, we give radios and such, which is city equipment. So we already have that. And so any use would be consistent with Rule 2.0.
So I'm not sure that it'd be necessary at this point, and if it was necessary, it would only be temporary, but just thought I'd bring it up now.
Council, what's your pleasure? Yes, Steve?
Quick question. John, are we talking about a member of the task force?
Oh, yeah, the chair.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Can I bring up a related technical issue, Mayor?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. During the discussion, it was suggested that, and it's fine, everything but gets sent to John, but I'm asking if John could set up a folder, have Jose set up a folder, or you know how you have the U drive on the server, that you have that, just so if there's any public records requests, gee, have we ever had any of those, that it's all in that one place, and that'll be very simple for our city clerk to just say, boom, because you know that's going to happen, and whatever documents that you distribute to them or they get created by consultants, they all go into one, Citizens Water Strategy Task Force thing. And that might actually be good for all the advisory boards, just so you have everything in one place and a record, because it's hard to search on our, server for stuff, and it gets messy, and it's more work.
So, okay, thanks.
Thanks.
That's no problem.
And I have no problem with, this is good, we can help task force members, that's fine.
I will get with Diane, she's the city
Mailbox,
clerk,
whatever.
and we'll...
Okay.
She didn't ask that. I was just thinking that when I was, viewing the meeting.
So the request is the chairman you like to let the
May
chairman
need a laptop temporarily.
a
Sure.
laptop or right? Did anybody have objection to that? Does it need to be done by a motion? Second.
Make motion.
We have motion. Is there a
Second.
second? A motion, a second. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Councilman McIntosh?
Yep.
Councilwoman Martin?
Aye.
Councilman Slakta?
Aye.
Mayor Nelson?
Aye.
Councilman Simmons?
Aye.
Councilwoman Simons?
Hi.
Councilman
Sorry.
Longcor?
Anything else? That's it, sir. Got it? Okay.
Mayor, excuse me. John, do we have a latest update on the library?
Frankly, I thought you'd be bringing it up, but we have heard from Sheldon Kay again on the library project. He was hoping to have had the ability to talk with county administration about actually tagging their consultant to begin the work, and that was supposed to happen on January the 6th at the M&P meeting. That did not happen. What they did was at the January 6th M&P meeting, they dedicated that entire meeting to the 2020 program, so it was this kind of a single topic discussion. He still expects that conversation with administration is going to happen shortly, and he's got no reason to believe it'll be anything other than going ahead to tag the consultant to start the work here.
Thank you.
Okay. And that's it. So we're going to go ahead and go to council member items, and the first one would be Martha. It'd be item.
Is that a surprise? Okay. By the way, about the library, I ran into Sheldon Kay downtown the other day, and I said, well, you didn't give me my Christmas present by giving me a written agreement. He goes, what are you talking about? Nobody mentioned it to me. So maybe you guys can give me a Christmas present by passing the next two items. Okay. I think we heard from neighbors who came in across the city about Spring Creek restoration. This is a pretty reasonable effort, and here was one of my strategies on asking the RPC to do this, because there are some navigational issues that in the future you probably have to lobby money for, like we did with Oak Creek, to get some dredging done. You don't want to have a whole lot of heavy opposition from members of the ABM. And when I talked to Jim Beaver, I said, there might be issues because it's coming up, it's in Estero Bay. And he said, we can work with that. So that's what I like to hear, is they'll be flexible in working with us. It's not going to be something that, we can't address. Part of the Estero Bay preserve is also to address recreation. It's not just for, our bugs and bunnies and oysters and alligators. So I was very glad to hear that from Jim. And of course, Mr. David Crawford worked on the Spring Creek DRIs, Pelican Landing, Bonita Bay, Spring Creek Cross Street, where we're just talking about where the Lions Club flea market is. So he's well aware of all those design issues, and he worked for WCI. So he gets it. So anyhow, that's all I have to say.
Is this a budgeted item? Is this something you could find in the budget, $50,000?
You do have some amount of council reserves still, or contingency. I think we can cover this amount. That's no problem. But if I might add something here, that just so everyone's expectations are appropriate with regards to this, is that this will take some time. Not only the study, but also implementing anything with regards to those recommendations. And I think that the council and especially the public need to understand that there will be other groups involved in this, there will be permitting issues involved in this, and then, of course, the actual cost. So I'm not sure how much of all of the concerns that were addressed today will actually be able to be addressed over the long haul on this.
Well, I think
but I
that's
just
part-
wanted to set some expectations that there are challenges ahead.
That's part of the proposal, or part of this motion will be that first thing you'll do is sit down and set the parameters on what kind of product you're going to get exactly. Because my concern with this is that I think that you've got two conflicting groups of people who think that the study are going to do the same thing. It's not. You've got one group of people who want the place dredged out and want the mangroves trimmed so they can use the boats. The other one, we need to restore this and preserve it the way it is. That's paraphrasing majorly. But so I'm going to be interested to see how this all works out.
Well, I agree that the scope of work needs to be clean and concise, but what I was really saying is beyond the study, when you look at the recommendations that may come out of that, actually obtaining some success on those objectives may be a challenge.
Well, and my suggestion would be this. I mean, the study will be great, but we need to be able to insist that the information that comes out of this study is information that we're able to use to determine how much water we can redirect down the creek if it needs to, how much needs to be, what are the limits of the creek's capacity. I mean, because there can be some recommendations. The people in here that have docks, the recommendation could be like, you know what, there shouldn't be any docks along the creek in there. I mean, that's going to be like, surprise.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Well, it can be if you're looking at preservation and those type of things.
Yeah, and Mayor, I think it was outlined in the document, the
I'd like
watershed
to finish
has been,
talking sometime,
I'm sorry,
too.
sir.
That's okay, but go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, that's
I'm
all right.
going to miss this. You guys have no idea.
I'm glad somebody is, because I am not.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So, well, I was conversationally responding to you. I'm sorry, Mayor. So, this is not going to fulfill everybody's expectations just if you get just environmental straight study, because it's already a constrained, and you're never going to bring it back to what it was. I mean, we've got I-75 in the way. I think it was wise to look at the Southwest Florida watershed update, because there's some recommendations about what is there and what you can do with it. And because there is recreation in the Estero Bay, I think you can come to some understanding. That's why there's workshops, so that the people who want, the oyster beds have to work with the people who want to get through them. And I don't think everybody wants to destroy everything just to navigate it, because, somebody said to me, well, we have to trim the mangroves, but gosh, don't lose that canopy, because that's gorgeous. So people who go out in their boats enjoy the view too. They don't want to see it destroyed. I don't think that's going to be a problem. And
Is that a motion to approve?
I appreciate council's consideration on this. Thank you.
Is that a motion
That's a motion to approve.
We have a
Second.
motion to approve. There's a second. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Martin?
Aye.
Councilman Slack?
Aye.
Mayor Nelson?
Aye.
Councilman Simmons?
Aye.
Councilwoman Simons?
Aye.
Councilman Longcart?
Aye.
Councilman McIntosh?
Okay, item C.
See?
Martha, that's you as well. Discussion and approval of lighting standards.
Yeah, and I have Chris here. You know, this is my final item. While Chris is getting here, let me mention that the National Art Festival was fantastic, but we might want to consider shutting down Old 41 at Reynolds or something, because the businesses that we want economic development on Old 41 to the businesses that are there. They were complaining at us.
We heard those
I know.
same concerns, and we're going to be debriefing the event and trying to make it better for everyone in February, including the businesses.
Okay, and by the way, the last item, it took us 7 years, Mayor, to get that money all finished up for Oak Creek, and we're not done with all the work yet. So any expectations that all that work on Spring Creek's going to happen anytime in soon? Keep holding on to your boats.
Yeah, it takes a long time to
It does.
do anything, doesn't it?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Lighting
Chris,
standards.
what do you have for us?
In 2005, the city enhanced its lighting standards in Chapter 3, in Development Standards, to require that all lighting be full cutoff, full shielding, with few exceptions. Martha had asked me to put some language together to bring some of those those luminaries that are attached to buildings up to current standard, as opposed to waiting for redevelopment. That would be the First Amendment that was provided. The Second Amendment deals more specifically with FP&L security lighting. The lighting that is installed by FP&L is not on the development site, it's off the development site, therefore doesn't have to meet the current standards. This language would require those lights to also meet the standards of Chapter 3 today.
And Mayor?
Yes.
We had a meeting with John Gucciardo, John Dahmer, Chris and I, and then I whizzed it past Audrey after Chris came up with some language. We talked about what was the most obtrusive stuff, and this is what we came up with, and what was going to be easier for code enforcement to deal with, because currently they have to separate, they have to look at lighting plans to figure out what was before and after the 2006 or 5 lighting regulations. It's very cumbersome for them, because then they got to get lighting plans and go back, sort of like some of our vegetation stuff. And this would make it easier for them. And what else do we, anything else, Chris? I mean, yeah, so we did have a conversation. Something just left my mind about it, but I'm sorry. Oh, yes, we do ask for these lighting plans. For instance, at Coconut Jack's, we asked for their lighting plans, and then they ordered this, so they have a photometric plan. Then they can order something right off the property, which is lit up the whole bay. And we're not saying, look, FPL, you can't put up a security light. It's just that it has to be shielded and directed. That's all. So citizens can still order them. We, like everything else, we just do it well.
So this have to be added to the land development code?
Chapter 3 development
Chapter 3,
standards.
so we'll be going through the public notification, those type of ordinances?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
If
because I want to be
this-
sure that the business community sees these. Okay? So, yeah, so with what you're looking for is a motion to advertise these? Is that what you're looking for?
Approve.
To approve and advertise?
Yes, the motion would be to advertise now. 768, 1382 is still a concern, but I will work on the ordinance. That's the one that talks about security lights and street lights in the sovereign immunity. But I'll work with Chris as well as staff in trying to get it so we get most of the language in there, or all of the language in there.
Main thing to do is that I want to do is go ahead and get the public input process started here,
Correct.
so that we can start talking about it.
Yeah,
In fact,
and
I'll get a document out soon. for
Mayor
council.
Sanibel passed this in 2000, and what they found successful was, look, if because I said what would be the best amortization period for code enforcement, okay? That might not be the best for the business community, but, you know, in order to tackle that, you know, the biggest, most intrusive thing, and what hurts a lot of elderly eyes, are these box lights that directly stick out off the building and are into the street. They're on almost all the banks. God bless the banks, and there might be some issues there, but.
Okay, so is there a motion? Is there a motion?
Well, yes, I'm going to get to a motion, but Mayor, all I want to say, and I know y'all want to go home,
No, I'm going to
No,
go
you like
work.
staying here?
Go
Okay.
ahead.
Is that if it becomes a burden or people are going to come out against it? I haven't heard that, and I've talked to some people, like, over the years, because I keep harping on this, that then you lengthen the amortization period, but Sanibel's got it all done now, because they lengthened their amortization period. It made it easier. I asked for like 1 or 2 years, and Chris said, make it 3. I went, okay. So,
Okay.
We felt that 3 years was long enough. We could do an education program even before the 3 years is up, come up with an early adoption program, work with the businesses, provide our feedback, cheaper alternatives like shielding
Yeah.
and things like that.
lowering
So-
the wattage of the light bulb, that's all they might have to
That's one
do.
of
Good. Is there a motion?
Move it.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, and to move it to advertise it. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Slakta.
Aye.
Mayor Nelson.
Aye.
Councilman Simmons.
Aye.
Councilwoman Simons.
Aye.
Councilman Longcor.
Aye.
Councilman McIntosh.
Aye.
Councilwoman Martin.
Aye.
Okay, thank you, Chris.
Yippee-ki-yay.
And here we
Lights.
go. Let's see.
Mayor,
Yes,
The resolution.
I beg your pardon?
This, we already did this, so we go
we already
right
did
here.
that. So I know you want to get appointed member. Could I have time after you finish your council member items, everybody?
Oh.
Just give a farewell address.
Oh, sure.
Thank you, Mayor.
Request approval of yeah, you have the resolution. We need to appoint the special events committee member. I'll make a motion to approve this person. Anybody else?
Second it?
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Yes, I would like to, Mayor, indicate that I've known Sheila Morgan for a few years now, and Source of the Lake, you and I were both there at one time.
Yep.
They're a great partner with the city. They've been supportive of our veterans, and I wholeheartedly support Sheila being on there. She's an energized bunny, and she will do well for our city.
Awesome person. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman McIntosh.
Aye.
Councilwoman Martin.
Aye.
Councilman Slakta.
Aye.
Mayor Nelson.
Aye.
Councilman Simmons.
Aye.
Councilwoman Simons.
Aye.
Councilman Longcor.
Aye.
Okay, the next one is approved resolution amending members. I'm bailing out the canvas committee, canvassing board. I cannot make it. Carl's got me hopping here, speaking to everyone. Everyone who, yeah, it's your fault, pal. You're the only person I can blame. Can't blame the whole list of people. I can't blame, but you got it, buddy. So anyway, we need to have somebody who is willing and able to do that. I know, Martha, you have done that.
I don't want to do it.
Strike one.
I'll be willing.
I've done it every other
You'd like to do it?
time.
Well, I would be willing to do that, yes.
Councilman
you.
McIntosh.
There's a difference, right?
No, I just can't make it that evening. I'm
Thank you.
sorry.
You'll be able to
Yeah.
do
You're still on
work
the
on one
committee?
of them.
You're
Pardon?
still on the committee?
Hold on. Go ahead.
No.
Stephen?
Okay. I'm
Diane.
in.
Just
Diane?
a clarification, our first meeting is tomorrow at 9 a.m., and I know you have the
have a
Middle
10
School
a.m.
Government Day.
We have a 10 a.m., yeah.
This is
Okay, it
Fort
starts
Myers.
at 9 a.m. at the Fort Myers
No,
office.
I can't make them.
Yeah.
That's what I said. I have
That
2
might be
meetings
the
tomorrow.
problem.
Now, is there an alternate that can be assigned to these things?
You can do an
Well-
alternate.
Can you have an alternate? Can you have assign somebody and then
Yes.
they have an alternate as well?
If you like.
Audrey saying yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
if you like.
and you can, right. It's interesting because, well, maybe it's not interesting, but for the county canvassing board.
very
It's
interesting.
very specific. For local boards certifying election, there really is no guidance. So you can go with a council member, you can go with a member of staff, you can go with.
Okay, can we have a, yes,
Mayor.
But that would mean we would need somebody for tomorrow's meeting.
Mayor.
but which the alternate could be a staff member,
Right.
could they not?
Sure.
Okay, can we go ahead and make this resolution if we have to appoint a staff member? Do you have a staff member in mind who would like to be on this, who would?
I'll be an alternate.
Audrey, why don't we have, would you like to be an alternate?
I'd like to be an alternate,
Better.
but I can't make it tomorrow.
Then you're no good.
All right.
Mayor.
You're useless to me.
Mayor.
That's all right.
Let me ask the clerk. You know, this is for the logistics and accuracy test, which basically checks out the machines.
Yes.
Do you really need to have another person there doing that to sign that off?
Yes, we need 3.
Okay.
So there are 3, just so I can clarify,
No, but you
there are
can't do
3
it
meetings for the
tomorrow.
canvassing board. Tomorrow at 9 a.m., and will probably go until about noon. Election night at the Supervisor of Elections office, and then on February 3rd at 9 a.m. So there's 3 meetings, so I just need to have it covered by someone.
So I'm going to suggest that be Councilman McIntosh with Audrey Vance as the alternate.
Okay.
Is everyone okay with that? That was a second you just made there, Peter, right?
Second.
Did you know that? Okay. We have motion.
Diane Lynn is a third.
No, she's already
I'm
on
already
it.
on it.
Okay,
She's
good.
committed.
He's already on it.
So you are, yeah, you're the
Any
first.
other discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Martin?
Aye.
Councilman Slechta?
Aye.
Mayor Nelson?
Aye.
Councilman Simmons?
Aye.
Councilwoman Simons?
Aye.
Councilman Longcart?
Aye.
Councilman McIntosh?
Thank you so much, Council. Thank you very much. Okay, with that, let's see, we are going to start on Councilman Ivins. Bill, do you have anything for us to say after?
Yes, as a matter of fact, at 2 o'clock today, the Lee County Election Office's new office building is on 41 North, and I don't know the name of the plaza where it is.
Bonita Commons.
Bonita Commons.
Art, et cetera.
It's at 2 o'clock today. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Martha, what else you got for us today? Oh, wait, I'm going to go to you last. Hold on.
Oh,
Stop
good.
It. Stop it. Peter, go ahead.
Yeah, I just, I'd like to thank Martha for bringing forward the charter school and the presentation. That's fantastic. Thank you. Long overdue as we certainly move forward here. And, I understand, I think the world of Councilman McIntosh, as he knows, and he knows more about this than me. I think when you look at this, certainly it's not necessarily a new concept, but it's new to Bonita Springs. We've never had a high school. Normally, you would just have a public high school. This is a different approach. I get that, and I certainly understand. You certainly don't want to water down the competition so that you get to a different level. However, I look at it a different way. I think you ratchet up the expectations and you ratchet up what everybody's looking for in education. And this is absolutely a different approach. If we're passing papers here, I'm all in favor of it. Let's move forward. Competition is good, just like in these farmers market here today that I voted against. Competition is good. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Oh, well, that's right. Martha, of course I'm going to miss you. How can I not miss you? How could I not miss these interactions with the mayor? No, Martha, let's face it, you and I, we met on, interesting terms.
Oh, my God,
I'll put
didn't
it
we?
that way. We met on interesting terms.
Okay, get a room.
This-
Whatever.
That would have been the last thing from either one of ours mind when we met, believe me. It started adversarial and it.
I thought you asked me to marry you.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Absolutely, it's been a joy and a delight to work with you. Like my wife says, I'm a pain in the neck, but you like me that way, and I think, quite frankly, you have that ability to, but you ask,
But you like me that way.
Well, that's everybody's unique.
You wanna
Your
take it outside?
Your dedication to the city is wonderful, and I know you will continue. You certainly won't be a member of city council much longer. Thank you for your service, thank you for your commitment, and I know we'll work together in the future. So
Oh, we
thank
will,
you very
Peter.
much.
Good deal.
Thank
Very
you,
well
Peter.
done. Stephen.
Thank you, Mayor. Wow. Just want to welcome Christina back from her maternity leave. She reported from the news press. It's always good to see you, Christina. A reminder, January 27th, our fire district will be meeting with the BOCC regarding the EMS situation. And January 28th is Election Day, so please get out and vote. That's the most important thing. And Martha, thank you for all you do.
See you at the
Very
Legion.
much. Janet, what do you have for us?
One thing is a message to the people of District 2 and the residents regarding the Mayhood property. Yes, that's East Terry and Matheson, for those who don't know it by that name. Yes, we did remove the big dirt pile that was there. And yes, we're creating a new one. But that one is temporary, and yes, we are moving forward with the plans for the dog park. So I just want to get that out there because everyone saw the pile of dirt went away, now it's back. So, but that's good dirt. It's coming out of the dredging of the Lightner Creek project, so that's awesome. The Bonita Springs Historical Society 2014 Speaker Series is kicking off on January 17th at the Lions Club. It's free to everyone. It's at 7 p.m. And Elliot Kleinberg is the speaker, and he's talking about Florida's wacky history. Now, I'm going to pass these out, and I am so very excited to be able to show this publicly. The Art and Public Places Board voted last night unanimously to approve the artist's final rendering of what the mural will be on Benson's grocery store. What you had seen before had been a computer-generated graphic of what he was planning to put there, but now we actually have his own artwork by his own hands, and it's absolutely awesome. And I have with me the painting. if you want to grab a.
Absolutely.
Is there a swamp buggy in there?
What he is calling this is My Beautiful Town. It's Mi Pueblo Bonito. So what he's explained was this starts at the beginning history of the city, and you've got the references to the Calusa, and then it moves forward to the Shangri-La, to our Riverside Park, and what he feels in his artist rendering is a good representation of our city. I think it's beautiful. I'm very excited. All the papers were signed, and he's gonna start work right away.
Wonderful.
So,
Wonderful.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Very nice.
The swamp buggy.
And then my last thing is also to thank Councilwoman Simons for her dedication, all of her hard work, because we all know how hard this job is, and for her love for the people of the city of Bonita Springs.
Ben?
Yes.
I forgot something when it comes.
Oh, okay. I'll get it to you.
I know we want to get
All right.
going.
Okay, Janet, anything else?
That's it. Thank you very much.
Okay, Steve.
Mr. Mayor and council members, if you, the papers were passed out, this one has a colorful picture of City of Bonita Springs. Tomorrow at 10 a.m., the middle school, Bonita Springs Middle School Center for the Arts will be here. It's an uncomplicated government day. They show up at 10. We give them a quick tour of the City Hall, and then they have a mock City Council meeting. They have their issue. I had a prep meeting with them yesterday. They have their council meeting topics, and they know how they're supposed to act. Whether they do or not, it's up to them, but we hope so. So could I
They know
just...
how to act. They got no business
could I-
being up here, I tell you that.
I can see that right now. We don't want to model from up here. Yes, that's right. Who can be here tomorrow? I know Councilman Martin.
I can't.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, that's fine. Councilman Lockhart, the three of us will be able to take care of it. That's fine. Thank you very much. 10 to noon tomorrow. The other one more complicated. Friday, the 4th annual Government Day for Estero High School. They get here about 8 o'clock. We have them. They shadow members of the Sheriff's Department, Fire District, all our staff members to understand how a city works. Then they come back and there is a group of 7 people, 6 council members and the mayor, to run a mock city council meeting. They also have their issues already. And I met with them yesterday afternoon to prep them. It's a bigger group. It's almost 40 students. So all I need to know is who in the council will be here, can be here on Friday. I know the mayor and Peter can't be.
You got a meeting.
No,
someone
yes,
got a
no.
meeting.
Not here, yes?
I'm
Yes
in
or no?
Orlando.
All right, well, I'll depend on
Uh-oh.
Lisa.
And
Councilwoman Simon.
that was so productive. I just, at Christmas, met a former student who participated. She's now joined the Navy, and she really, she's going to be there, for a lifer. And she has such a service attitude, and she just wanted to thank you, thank the city council. That was so wonderful.
Thank you very much. Okay, good. That's everything. 10 o'clock tomorrow, 8 o'clock on Friday. Thank you for being here. Staff members, thank you. They didn't want to do it closer to the FCAT, so between the holidays and now, Jane Swanson deserves a huge thank you from me, as well as the students, for making this thing happen. Finally, Martha, I sent you a little note. I mean it genuinely. Among the things you've done is help me clarify numbers of things. Sometimes I get lost in your conversations, but I always come back and figure out exactly what it was you were saying, so thank you very much. I mean it as a compliment, because you're one of the few people I know who studies as hard as you do preparation for this meeting and any meeting, so thank you. And for the rest of the city, you don't have to worry about it, Simmons or Simons anymore, so thank you very much.
We still have a Steve. Oh, we have one Steve. Let's see if we get another.
Thank you very much.
Or
Anything
keep-
else? Yes,
Can I
Janet.
just beg your indulgence in my exuberance to be showing this off? I forgot to mention the artist's name, and it's Alejandro Nunez, and he is a Bonita Springs resident, which makes it all the more special, so thank you for
Nice.
that.
Thank you very much. Bill, you had something else for us.
Yeah, I wanted to mention the opportunity that I've had to sit next to Martha on this side. And,
Quiet side.
well, okay.
Anyway.
And I have to say, Martha, that to share, to listen to your point of views and your persistence, your dedication, your pleasantries that I've experienced over some years, you're going to be missed. and we're going to lunch next week.
Oh,
Well, look at that. Okay.
I don't know.
In,
Okay, thank
Bill
you.
know about that?
Martha, thank you very much for your service. I mean, anybody who thinks that this job is easy, think again. But, and I like everybody to remember that out there in the public eye. I mean, not that we expect anything other than maybe common courtesy every once in a while would be good. These are human beings who sit up here. And Martha, thank you very much for what you do. That's one thing that we all have in common. We all understand what it takes to do this. We will always have that in common with each other. We've experienced the same kind of
Exuberance.
job. So,
Yes.
so thank you very much for your service and everything you do. And with that, I'm going to turn with that,
Uh-oh.
I'm going to present you with something here. And this says, it's from the city of Bonita Springs, the entire city of Bonita Springs, by the way. Gratefully acknowledges Martha Simons in appreciation for your many years of dedication and your dedicated service serving the residents of the city of Bonita Springs as the District 5 council member in March 2006, January 2014. Thank you very much for everything.
Does everybody get a picture of
Yep.
We're all going to get your pictures. Everybody come up here. Everybody come up here. Come this way. You want to be up here? Oh, yeah.
No, I'll go like this.
You all right?
Come on, come on, come on. Come on, boys.
Move the chairs. Move the chairs.
Move the chairs. Move this.
Hey.
Get over my district spot.
There you go. Get over there.
All right,
Sideways, turn sideways.
Everybody turn sideways a little bit.
Sideways,
Yep.
good.
Then
I'm
we
gonna
all
put this in
fit.
front of them.
Oh.
Ready? 1,
2,
3. Oh, wait a minute. I'm gonna take my glasses off my head.
Oh,
You want to fix your hair too, or no?
No.
You're talking to me?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Wow, what a big phone you have. Steven?
I'm looking at the phone. He's a joker over here. Thank you, everybody.
Got
Thank
one
you,
in
Ben.
anyway. It was somebody that's, thank you.
Love you. Okay, now.
Okay, now it's Martha's time.
Okay, well, listen, put your feet up. It's gonna take 2 hours.
Oh, Lord.
Let the record show it's 12:53.
No, I'll try not to be too long, gentlemen.
Green light's
and
on.
ladies.
Yeah, green light's on.
I wrote something just to make it so I don't have to cry, okay? Which I probably will anyhow. Thank you, Mayor and Council. First, I want to thank the love of my life, my husband Bill, who has been incredible support and inspiration. He also wakes up when the phone rings late at night and juggles his schedule for city events and soothes a worried neighbor. Even when he's not the mayor, sir, he's still my superhero. So, I want to personally thank Mayor Ben Nelson, who called me 9 years ago to encourage me to run for office. Thank you for having confidence in me. And, occasionally continuing. Okay. I wasn't going to put that in there. Okay. I want to thank the various council members who I've served with over the last 8 years. We may not have agreed on everything, but through the process, our city has made progress. Thank you for your votes and for making tough decisions you believed were the best of Bonita Springs. Thanks for sticking to your core values and in being an expression of the various interests of the people. When a vote didn't go your way, thank you for not taking it personally, but for respecting the rule of consensus. I honor your willingness to serve, and I'll always remember the amount of kindness each of you have shown to me and those I've represented. I thank our city staff, who every day work hard to carry out council's decisions. And some, you know who you are, have become good friends. Thank you for your support, for making me laugh when I want to cry, and for helping me create good policy and programs. I couldn't have done it without you. I will miss working with you regularly, but please remember, I'm always rooting for you and Team Bonita. Last, because you're most important, I want to thank the residents who trusted me to serve and work with them, and the ones who didn't, who became good partners and friends. Thank you for your kindness, your criticism, and your encouragement. Thank you for being good neighbors. Thank you for insisting, for complaining, for dreaming, and for working hard. Together, we made some dreams come true. Thank you to those who serve on our city advisory boards and those who accepted my nominations for appointment. The District 5 seat has never been my seat. It belongs to the residents of District 5. And I was going to do this. And I have been honored to sit in it on your behalf. I have worked hard to do what you've asked, and together we have made a difference. After all, government is not about those who sit up here. It's about you who live in the neighborhoods with families, who've started businesses, and who go to our schools. This city government will only be good as you make it. Keep asking questions, sharing your opinions, never give up. It is your right to petition your government, and it is your city. We live in such a beautiful place, and we are so blessed to live in America, where we have the right to fully speak our mind and freely come together to govern ourselves. So whether I'm on this side of the dais or on the other, I thank you, neighbors, for letting me govern with you. There is much more to do, and if you will have me, I will be pleased to continue to work with you as Citizen Martha to make Bonita Springs the best it can be. Thank you.
Oh, that was beautiful.
Thank you to you.
Oh, well done.
Thank you. I wrote that this morning, and I didn't have a cup of coffee.
And you did good. No coffee. All right, well, council, that was, Martha, that was beautiful. Thank you so much for
I
that.
look forward to your State of the City speech.
And listen, I wanted to remind one thing before we close up here. Steve McIntosh tomorrow will more than likely be elected and become the chairman of the MPO. So, well, congratulations, maybe a little ahead of time, but congratulations still the same. That will be, I've served on the MPO for 10 years now, since Paul Pass was the other one. That will be my last meeting, though. So you all be thinking about, after the election, who you want to serve on there, okay? Steve will still be on there, and Pete, whether you go ahead and then you get an alternate, that'd be fine. But it's time for me to hand the baton off there. With that, approval of minutes. Anyone want to approve the minutes?
Make that motion.
May you make a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. Any other
Comments?
distractions? Comments?
No, but I'll be serving on the ABM. I was appointed on Monday.
Oh,
Awesome.
congratulations. Roll call.
Councilman Slakta.
Aye.
Mayor Nelson.
Aye.
Councilman Simmons.
Aye.
Councilwoman Simons.
Aye.
Councilman Longcart.
Aye.
Councilman McIntosh. Councilwoman Martin.
Aye.
Okay, at this time, approval of minutes. Public comment. Public comment. Anyone wishing to speak at this time, please come forward. We're all out of public.
Yeah, we are. We are.
Oh, there you are. No, that's okay. No, that's all right. That's all right. Thank you. Thank you very
Where's my
much.
Steinmeier?
Okay, now adjournment. Thank you, everybody, very much.
Awesome.
Go Bonita.